Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to our special episode. My name is Sean Wastrup, and as always, is Brian Michaels. This is an episode that we have discussed for about a year now about shooting, but we wanted to wait until everything came out. We've done episodes like these before. They're kind of like a franchise and review. We did it with Batman. Didn't we do it with Indiana Jones and the Mission Impossibles, I believe, as well, where we kind of do like a big franchise kind of overview.
Yeah, I don't recall. It's been so long since we did one of these. Yeah.
Yeah, but we are here to discuss Alien and Predator universe. Not Alien versus Predator, but Alien Predator universe. There has been a resurgence of the Alien Predator universe since 2020 with, I would say before 2020, I feel like the franchise was for the most part dead after Covenant. Like, it was kind of, after, was Covenant or the Predator the last one? Was it the Predator?
The Predator was 2018.
Okay. But once Prey came out, we kind of were like, oh crap, these can be good again. And then, we had Romulus. And then, of course, in the last year, we had, Romulus, Killer of Killers, and then Predator Badlands. And we wanted to talk about, and Alien Earth. And we wanted to talk about Alien Earth. We were going to do an episode about that. And they were like, well, wait, Predator Badlands, it's coming out, in November. Why don't we just wait and do everything all together? And that's what we're doing today. So we're going to do kind of a mini discussion review of Alien Earth, even though it's been a month and a half or so since it's been off the air. We're going to do a discussion review of Predator Badlands. And then we will come up with our cumulative list of all 16 Alien Predator films, where we took my actual ranking and Brian's actual ranking, and we smushed them together to come up with an overall ranking. I do not know how that rankings ended up, only Brian does, so I will be shocked as you when some of these pop up, because Brian says it does get interesting near the bottom. But first, let's start with Alien Earth. This was definitely something that I think when we first heard it announced, we were like, how the fuck is this going to work as a show? But they managed to do it. It was on FX, which I feel like FX and AMC are basically like, if you guys can't afford HBO, we can do adult shit on this and no one's going to get pissed at us. So don't worry. We're going to get you what you want to see with these movies or with this channel. I tend to like a lot of the stuff that FX and AMC do, so I wasn't really worried when I saw FX was taking on the Alien show. It was just more or less how this was going to work in a show format. What were your thoughts about it when it got announced?
Well, it's like I always like more Alien and Predator, but content. I hate calling movies TV's content, but I love both those franchises. Even in their weakest ones, I find some enjoyment in everything. So like they make a TV series out of it. I'm like, I don't know how it's going to work as a TV series, but I'm willing to give it a shot. And it was FX, which was weird because I'm surprised they didn't at least make it a Hulu show. But it's like, no, we want to make it FX because I guess it's more closely tied.
I will say this though, FX and Hulu are like this. So it being an FX show is also basically making it a Hulu show.
Right, but it's like, why was this one tied to FX first? I didn't have a problem with it.
FX is the one distributing it, and Hulu is probably the one backing it money wise.
But I was open to the idea of a show, but like you, I wasn't sure how they were gonna do that because I mean, how long can we just watch aliens attack people kind of thing? But then obviously we see what the show was, and it was focused a lot more on this this billionaire genius playboy and kid, whatever it is. Yeah. And then these hybrids that they've made, they're not synths, they're not humans, they're basically a hybrid of the two. And so I was like, I'm not sure I care about that. It sounds like it's gonna be like this just boring show where like once in a while alien pops up. But I watched it and I kind of love where they went with it. I'm sorry, I'm already going to the show. You're talking about going.
Well, I would say the biggest thing that helped us was that they got our boy Timothy Oliphant on it. And once they signed him, I was like, well, it can't be that bad. Because if he signed on,
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, I saw he was on, like, okay, could you have my attention now, and I'll at least check it out, because before that, looking at this cast, I didn't recognize at the time a single person that was in this show except for him. So I'm like, before they had his name, I wasn't interested at all.
Well, the only other thing that really got me to be more intrigued by it was that Noah Hawley is the writer, creator, director, kind of. Well, not just director, because he doesn't direct.
I've never seen any of his stuff. So
he did the Fargo series, which the first two. I wouldn't watch the first 2 seasons of it, but the first 2 seasons of Fargo, especially season 1, is one of the best seasons of TV. Like, it's fucking amazing. He also did Legion, which was like the X-Men show on FX, which was good, but just really, really you really had to try to make yourself finish it. It was one of those I've described it on the show before, where it was like, it's 45 minutes a show, because obviously you got commercials, and for 40 minutes it's just kind of not interesting, and then in that last 5 minutes you're like, motherfuckers, now I gotta watch the next episode, because like you're watching it and you're like, I really don't think I care enough about the show. And it's got our boy Dan Stevens. Dan Stevens and Aubrey Plaza are the 2 main characters. So you have 2 people that I love, but it's like, man, I don't know if I really give a shit about this show. And then the last 5 minutes, you're like, motherfucker, I gotta watch the next one. God damn it. And so he did that. And then, of course, like I say, he did Fargo. So him and then Oliphant being a part of this was like, okay. I mean, it's Alien, so I gotta check it out. But go ahead back into what you're going into. You're actually gonna go into your discussion.
No, I was just saying, because I ended up really loving what they did with it, because I thought that the whole concept, which is kind of the base, this is like I was talking about those hybrids. Where they took these I assume terminally ill children who were going to be dying anyway, and so they gave them the option to be involved in this program where they were going to basically take their minds or whatever and put it into an android, essentially. And I thought that was very interesting, because especially then they started the whole thing of you have the people with kids intellect inside of an adult's body, and how that not only messes with them and how they interact with other people, and things they're not used to dealing with. So you have that whole aspect of it, and then of course it turns out they also have like these abilities of because of these android bodies, it's just super strength and things like that. And so before we even got into any actual aliens showing up, I was invested in this, and I love the cast across the board. Sydney Chandler, who we only found out after the fact that she's Kyle Chandler's daughter. She's kind of the central one. I thought she did a great job. My favorite character in the show, though, was Oliphant.
The MVPs. We both are in agreement. The MVPs of this show.
Yeah, Oliphant obviously he's up there. But as far as the rest of the cast, Slightly and Morrow, the two of the other.
No, Smee.
Oh, this thing I might have.
Morrow's the bad android. You're talking about the friends, right?
Yeah, I couldn't remember what the character names were. I have the IMDb screen up here, and Google has all screwed up. They have it listed Slightly
and Smee are who we were talking about. Yeah.
The like Indian one and the black guy with the beard, right?
Yes.
Yeah, those two were the most fun, and I think actually all of the adults that had to play kids in adults' body. I'm trying to figure out how to say that. I thought did a phenomenal job, because just in the way they sat, in the way they moved, the way they talked, and perfect. Everything about that was perfect. And those two especially were just so much fun, and they seemed like I felt like I was looking at kids trapped in an adult body. Absolutely.
Yeah. Adarsh Gaurav, who played Slightly, and Jonathan Ajay, who played Smee. Because you had like, there was three girls, 3 guys. Who basically were these adults with children's minds, and but Smee and Slightly were the 2 that, like, these 2 they'd always had these scenes together because they were like best friends, and you could totally just buy them as 10-year-olds in adult bodies. The way they interacted, the way their communications worked, the way their body language was. Everything about it was like,
even they're just sitting in a chair, just laying down the bed. I felt like it was a kid, just swing his arms,
and their dialogue. It was such smart dialogue. It was like dialogue that was written for kids by kids. Like, it made The dialogue made sense. It felt like, 10-year-olds wrote this and they were acting it out, but it was adults that were doing it. And it was brilliantly written and brilliantly acted by these two. And they were both, well, Slightly was in it a lot. Smee was not in it nearly enough. We were both just like, as long as Smee does not die. If Smee dies, we're burning this place to the fucking ground. Because Smee was so I don't want to use the word adorable, but it was like he was so beloved by me and Brian because of how phenomenal this actor was doing as this kid. We're like, if you killed him, I swear to God, I'm gonna be
because he had like the most innocence to him too. He was just like,
he was such innocence that you just like he just brought this like glow in this dark show. He brought this glow because like even with Wendy, played by Sydney Chandler, eventually the kid aspect of her went away because she got powerful. She got OP'd to a point. So she wasn't really much of a kid anymore. She was like, it's almost like her maturity was growing into like a teenager after the first couple episodes and then to a young adult. Whereas Smee and Slightly, they were just 10-year-olds the whole time. Even, oh God, Nibs, her character, like, her Nibs' character was kind of frustrating, but in a good way. And then even Arena James, who played Curly, you're just watching these young minds grow with these adult bodies, and it was just always like kind of off-putting, but in a good way, because you're just like, I'm watching like these adults, and they're just acting like kids, but they're so dangerous because they could snap your neck like that because they're all so powerful. And then you got Oliphant, who is playing it so dry pan. Like, he's clearly like the captain father figure, but could give two shits about them. Like, if they get eaten, fucking fine. But I'm not gonna like. But then he's just gonna keep going on and say, Oliphant played this so fucking well. He's so good. And then of course you have the billionaire, which when we watch the Alien verse, we've always known of Wayland. Wayland Yutani. That was always the thing, was Wayland Yutani. Even in everything. And then you found out like, oh wait, there's these other trillionaire, billionaires, whatever the hell you want to call them in this, that are also like a part of this. Because this takes place, I think it said, what was it, 2 years before the first Alien film?
I don't remember the timeline, no.
It's like 2 years, it's within 5 years of the first Alien film. Which also just completely kind of fucks with the timeline. I feel like this movie did not do a service to the franchise, this timeline. I feel like it actually hurt it, but the timeline's already been royally fucked up thanks to Prometheus and all that shit. But in terms of like the show itself, you have this one billionaire, trillionaire, whatever you want to call him, Boy Cavalier, played by Samuel Blinken. Dude's great. God damn it, wear shoes next season, dude. I'm sick and tired of looking at your fucking feet. Just barefoot in every fucking scene. And it's like, did Quentin Tarantino shoot this? Because there's so many scenes where they had to make sure his feet were fucking front camera. And it's like, I'm so tired of looking at your feet, dude. Wear some goddamn shoes. He's frustrating, but in the way that you want him to be. He's not frustrating like this guy's awful or annoyingly written. It's like, no, he's playing it exactly the way he's supposed to be. It's an annoying character, but he's doing it to the best of his abilities, and it's working. And because he's a kid who's, they think he's the smartest person in the room, and he made these synthetics, so he had someone intellectually smarter that he could have conversations with. And then of course new toys come along in terms of the xenomorphs and the others, and then he kind of doesn't want to play with these toys anymore, or he wants to use them as a disposal, just like a fucking, he's not even a kid, he's a teenager at most, or maybe even a young adult. But it's one of those things where it's like, I have too much money and I can do whatever the fuck I want. I'm basically a god. And he plays it so fucking well. Everyone in this plays it well. There's not really a bad performance in the bunch. And Morrow, who you were talking about earlier, thinking it was Smee, he's great in this, because the show starts with like who we thought was the actual cast, and then realize, oh no, wait, they all die in the first 10 minutes. And then Murrow's like the survivor, and he's kind of like the badass android. He's not even an android. He's like cyborg. Human. Yeah, he's a cyborg. He's human with android parts, basically. He's great in the show as well. And I think I remember when we were watching this, because we basically both watched it like around the same time, and then we also just kind of like talked back to each other while we were watching it. I didn't dislike the first episode, but I wasn't like in love with it as much as you were.
Mm-hmm.
And then episode 2, when we finally got like the xenomorph action, I was like, okay, now I know what they're willing and capable of doing with the xenomorph. Now I can be excited about this.
Well, then as it went on, it's like they've introduced all these other creatures now. You know, there's the eyeball one, and there was I don't remember all the different ones.
There was, well, yeah, these obviously aren't the names, but there's like the eyeball one, and then there's like this Venus flytrap thing, and then these mosquito kind of bugs kind of thing, which once again was where it's like it fucks up the alien timeline. I was like, if this is all before the first Alien film, where the fuck are these in the other films? Why aren't these a part of this?
You know, it's one of those things where I knew they're going to add all these creatures, and as I saw, I'm like, oh, this is going to seem weird because it looks like you said, where were they in the other movies then if these things existed? But you know, as it went on, I think they used them fairly sparingly, except for the eyeball one was kind of clearly a major.
The eyeball one, in theory, is almost just as dangerous, if not more dangerous than the xenomorph.
Yeah, but then it looks so great though. I mean, just the special effects they did when they like plucks out an eyeball and goes in its place, and I thought it was very well done. But it got to the point where the creatures, like, I don't know if they were all necessary, or if it's just like we felt like throwing in some new creatures. But they worked. They worked pretty good for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. It was that one scene. Like I said, I can't remember the character, but it's like the eyeballs in the water. And then like it's like escaping, and it's like doing shit to distract the person in the room, and it maneuvers around, and then it like poisons the woman without her realizing it and shit. Like it's just like they make the creatures smart in this, but then they also come up with a whole new thing in this, which is that now you have someone, Wendy, who can now communicate with a xenomorph. Yeah. And that was where it was like, you either have to be on board with this or you're not on board with it. And based off of where you're at on this thing is going to basically dictate whether you like the rest of the show or you're jumping off the ship. Because that totally changes the whole facet of the show.
I don't love the whole thing that Wendy's got this bond and she's basically got her, alien army that she can control. Because I mean, I got when they're talking about how she can understand them and maybe even communicate with them, but then I don't know how she became like the queen of the aliens. So, like you said, they had already kind of OP'd her, but even before they got to this part. But then you put that on top of it, it's kind of like, okay, can we just pump the brakes on this character a little bit?
I agree. I mean, when being able to communicate a xenomorph is one thing. Being able to have the xenomorph kind of be like, "You're my mom. I'm gonna follow you and do whatever you say," is a totally different thing. That's always been kind of like the thing with xenomorphs over the Predator, is that xenomorphs are unpredictable. They're just, like lions and tigers. They just want to ravage and kill. They really don't have and reproduce. They don't have a thought process. They just want to fucking chaos. And now you have it where, oh no, they actually do want to communicate and they're willing to follow someone who can communicate with them. And thank God they didn't add subtitles of this is what they're saying. No, they do a good job of doing that, like with their visuals and stuff like that. But by the end of the series, the finale didn't really necessarily work for me because it's like, well, yeah, now she has a xenomorph at her disposal. And it's like, okay, is she going to be able to control all the xenomorphs, or is she only just going to control this xenomorph? Because in her defense for this one, she was there basically when it hatched, so okay. But if she can then all of a sudden now control all of them, that's going to be a problem for me on the show.
Yeah, because I mean, I enjoyed the show, the finale. I will say the finale, like you said, I was disappointed by it because I didn't like, kind of the way it was going. But while it wasn't the best finish to it, I think the rest of the season was so good that I'm definitely in for next season.
Yeah, it feels like they're building up that the eye alien is going to be the villain and the xenomorph is going to kind of be the good guy, which is also just another thing that we're going to talk about. That's not something that we're supposed to be used to. Is xenomorphs are not supposed to be good guys; they're always supposed to be bad guys. And it feels like the alien or the eye is the bad guy, and the xenomorph is going to be the good guy, and that's going to be a really weird thing. Once again, you have to be either be on board or not. But overall, though, Alien Earth was a welcome surprise. It didn't completely crush it, but it did I'd say about a 75% good job. Like there was a couple episodes that maybe were just not quite there, but even then, like at the worst, it's still better than a lot of stuff that's on TV. Enough to the point that you and I are both eagerly anticipating a second season, which we know we're getting. We're getting. So yeah, we definitely, if you guys have not watched Alien Earth, we strongly suggest it. It's a very, very strong show, even if we don't agree with some of the formats, especially the fucking Peter Pan Lost Boys storyline.
Oh yeah, I will say that, especially and more as the season went on, just slam into the guys. Like, I understand the analogy or the metaphor or whatever at the beginning of it, but it's like, okay, the Lost Boys and clearly this, with Boy Cavalier and all that stuff. And I'm like, I get it, but then like every episode would be another reference. Like, we get the point, and to the end, it's like, can we just stop talking about fucking Peter Pan? We get it.
And also, I didn't really give a shit about Wendy's brother. He's a character I feel like needs to be killed off, just so that way they can move on. I feel like so much of the plot was being held up just because they have this one guy here, and it like derails where the story's going because they have to protect this one guy. And they don't even have to. It's just Wendy wants to protect this one fucking guy. But yeah, I would say if you guys don't get hooked by the end of the second episode, then I don't know what's going to really hook you on the show. Because I think after the second episode, you're like, yeah, okay, I'm in. So, but yeah, so going into that, let's talk about the Alien franchise. Obviously, the franchise is totally different now than how it was. I mean, we got Alien and then Aliens, and then, we got the two other sequels. But then Prometheus kind of threw like a whole wrench into the actual storyline or the timeline of this whole thing. And then, of course, it continues on with Alien Earth. But, Brian, you were actually alive for the first two Alien films. So, when they came out. So why don't you start? You're like, you dick.
Well, no, I mean, we'll get into the individual films later when we go down through the ranking list. But just in general, the Alien franchise, it's one of those franchises where I like every single film to different degrees. Even the worst ones, I still enjoy. We're not talking about Alien versus Predator. I'm not talking about the Alien proper.
We'll get to those eventually.
We'll get to those eventually. But so I've always enjoyed it. So I'm always watching more. And every time, whether it's a good film or a bad film comes out, like every time there's a bad one, I'm like, okay, this is it. They're not going to make any more. And then for some reason, it's just one of those franchises that they keep going back to, going, let's try it again. And so we're like, oh, that's great. And then if one flops again, like, okay, this is definitely the last one they're making. And then they revive it again. And it's just one of those franchises that won't die. And I'm fine with it because I enjoy seeing a new one every couple of years, even if it's, not necessarily following one continuity. This one isn't a Ripley movie anymore. I'm like, does it need Ripley? Who knows? And now we've had different takes on it, kind of like we'll talk on Predator, where they found like different directions we can go with it to give it something fresh and new. So as far as Alien, I'm glad to see it kind of back on the upswing, with both the show and the recent movie that was, very successful. So we're definitely going to see more of this, and I'm happy for it.
My only problem it's not my only problem, but as you're talking about, I was like, does every movie need to be a Ripley movie? And the answer is no. But they feel like every Alien movie needs to have a character that represents Ripley. Like, yeah, Sigourney Weaver's not going to be in all these, but every Alien movie has to have a character that's a Ripley light. Is there? I'm looking at the list. Is there a single Alien movie where a female character is not the main character? And I'm looking, and I don't think there is. I think every single Alien film has a female lead, which there's nothing against having a female lead, but none of them are going to be Ripley. They're just not. So at that point, it's like, let's not keep trying to do this thing. Like, I get horror always has like the final girl, but Alien is not horror. It's sci-fi. We're allowed to have a male lead, just be a male lead. And not have everyone go, well, there's another Ripley character. Not every woman is a Ripley character in these movies. But it seems like in these franchise, there always has to be a fucking Ripley-esque type character. And it's even in Alien Earth, technically, you got Wendy. you know, it's not really a Ripley character, but she is like the one that's stronger than everyone else, and all this stuff. So I'd like to see them kind of just do something a little bit different. Even Alien Romulus, same fucking thing. They you know, I know you're not a fan of her, but she's basically Ripley light as well.
You know what they need to do is they should go back and tell more stories about younger Ripley, and then cast Mary Elizabeth Winstead, because she is a perfect Ripley. Because oh man,
she would, but the problem is that Ripley never saw the alien until the very first Alien. So what would she be fighting at that point? That's the only problem.
There's an alternate reality where she didn't crash into that prison planet, and I don't know.
Yeah, you have to figure something out. But I mean, Alien, the franchise as a whole. I mean, to me personally, let's see, for the Alien franchise, not counting the AVPs, you have 1, 2. There's 4. There's 7 total. There's 7 total Alien films, and to me, there's 2 really good ones, 2 okay ones, and then 3 really bad ones. So it's just kind of like a franchise, you know. I mean, it's better. It's got a better, you know, ratio than Jaws, but I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, and that's why I wasn't as mad as like we said with Alien Earth when they added like the eye alien and shit, because like you can only do so much with the xenomorphs. Like Predators, you can do so many different things. I feel like with Predator, we're just scratching the surface really with all these like different tribes and all this shit. Like, oh, there's different kinds of predators. We can do all this shit. Xenomorph is kind of very much like you have the facehugger, you got baby alien, you got the aliens, and then you got the queen, and that's kind of it. And you can only do so much. Now there are different directors. Like, you know, once Fede Alvarez took over, it was like there are different people who take different approaches with this. That's very unique, and I'm excited to see what they do with it. But at the end of the day, if it just starts to kind of come up like a rinse and repeat, it gets a little tiring for me. So I get excited when they announce a new Alien thing, but then I could be halfway through the film like, are they really doing anything new? And lately, Ridley Scott tried to, but he did it in all the wrong ways with Prometheus and Covenant. So I'm less of an Alien fan as Brian, but I mean, I do love the first 2 films. They're top tier sci-fi. But as a whole, I'm a very, very much a Predator person over an Alien person. But Alien Earth and Romulus, because I know they're going to continue with the at least, you know, the main 2 in Romulus because into a sequel. So we'll see where they go with that. And then of course Alien Earth, we'll see where they go with that. So I mean, I'm more optimistic about Alien than I was a few years back, but I feel like they need to come up with something not necessarily different, but they need to come up with something more than what we're getting. I feel like it gets very repetitive very fast.
Yeah.
Moving on to that, though, let's go into Predator Badlands that came out last week. Dan Trachtenberg, he has been kind of the new face. Honestly, that is someone who I want to see him do an Alien movie. Let him do Alien. I want to see what he does with Alien. Because he has proven he knows Predator. He knows how to do Predator. He knows how to do unique new things with Predator, for good or bad. He knows he has an eye to do different things and not have it feel repetitive. I want to see what he does with Alien. I want him to kind of become the Kevin Feige of the Alien Predator-verse. Let him just completely take the fuck over. And Noah Hawley, he can help and stuff like that with the writing and everything. But Dan Trachtenberg with Prey and Killer of Killers and now Predator Badlands, this guy just has this eye, this mind where he just knows how to make these predators enjoyable again. Do you agree? Disagree?
Well, no, I agree. I think he does a good job of creatively, you know, what he's done with the characters and finding kind of new ways to tell stories and new aspects to look at it from. But I also think he was very smart in terms of just helping to bring back the franchise to life, because he's doing these projects that are all really relatively small scope and low budget. You know, one was animated, one was, you know, basically the Predator and like a couple Native Americans out in the wilderness, and then this new one is, you know, just the Predator and, you know, Elle Fanning with him.
I feel like this one though, because of where they were at, was the biggest in scope.
Right. Well, just because of the setting, but it didn't have a big cast of known characters, anything like that. It wasn't a huge action spectacle. I mean, so much of it was CG. There was very little. It wasn't like real world. A lot of stuff going on. So it was relatively low budget, and I think that keeping these things low budget is why Fox / Disney was willing to give Predator another chance, even though the past several ones have not done well. They're like, well, the last one's kind of flopped, but you know what? If you can make it for this much, sure, go ahead and try. And he did, and he's been very smart. Now that it's established and people are interested again, I think that he'll be able to get bigger in scope and bigger in budget, and then because they'll let him spend the money because they're being successful.
I think what helps with Predator most of all is that the Predator just looks so cool.
Yeah, it does.
That people will just want to see Predator on screen. Xenomorph too. I mean, if the aliens looked like shit, no one's gonna care about the Alien franchise. Just like no one would care about the Predator if the Predator looked like ass. But it's just such a visually awesome looking creature that you have people who want to just keep coming and seeing whatever new adventures they want to go with this. And with Predator Badlands, I will say it's the most ambitious that someone has ever taken the Predator in this, for good or bad. Some things worked for me, other things didn't work for me. I guess I'll go first because you went with Alien Earth on this. I heard one of my fellow other people that I know who reviewed it said, I can't believe they figured out a way to Disney-fy Predator. He wasn't wrong. This is a PG-13 Predator movie. Doesn't mean that there's less violence. It's just there's no human blood. But and guys, I know it's been out a week, so spoilers. We're not gonna dance around spoilers for Predator Badlands. So if you guys have not seen it yet and you want to jump ahead, go ahead. But we're gonna spoil the shit out of Predator Badlands. They took, once again, like I said earlier, xenomorphs are supposed to be bad. Now, in the Alien Predator world, we've established that if you have a good guy, it's going to be Predator just because he's more humanoid. So that's been established that he's kind of more the good guy. But he's not supposed to be like the main fucking character good guy like he is in Badlands. Because I was watching this, I was like, this is basically like a Star Wars adventure movie.
Yeah.
This isn't Predator. This is Star Wars with a Predator as the lead character. It's like, and that's the thing. It's like, it's not the Predator movie that I want, but it's also not bad either. So I'm in this weird, like, did I like it or did I not like it? Do I want to see a continuation? Because of how a movie ends, it's clearly leading to something. But then again, so is like every other Predator movie. Every other Predator movie has ended open for like a sequel, and we never get an actual sequel to it. It's always something fucking different. Because I was like, well, I guess we're going to get a sequel to this. I'm like, well, no, because Predators, that ended open-ended. The Predator, that ended open-ended. Every single one has ended open-ended. We've never gotten a direct sequel for any of these fucking films. So it's one of those things where it's like, with Badlands, I don't necessarily love where he went with it. I commend him for trying, because at least he's fucking doing new shit. It's not how I would have gone about it, but even as he went through it, it still worked. It's not like with what we were just talking about with Running Man, where it's like none of this shit works for me. Badlands, I don't like where he went with it, but it worked how they did it. Do I want to see it again, like in a sequel? I wouldn't be opposed to it, but that doesn't mean that's where I want the Predator character franchise to go from now on, where he's like this protagonist, like Star Wars adventure character. I don't want that for the Predator, but I didn't hate the final product. It just wasn't the movie that I was wanting or expecting. So I'm kind of like, I gave it 4 stars, but it was a weird 4 stars, because it's like, I appreciate everything. It all looks good. There's nothing actively bad about this movie, but I didn't really like how it ended up being. Does that make sense at all?
That makes sense. I felt kind of the same about it, because I mean, I did not have as high expectations going in, because Prey, I really enjoyed, but not the way some people like love that one. And I'm like, no, it's a decent Predator movie, but I didn't rave about Prey. So going to this one, I thought it looked like, oh, this is just it'll be fine, it'll be fun, whatever. But I'm not super excited about seeing the Predator, like you said, as the good guy, your protagonist. And then dragging around Elle Fanning, and it just, I don't know, it was kind of like you said, a weird approach.
It's Chewbacca carrying around C-3PO and Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, or the other thing, actually, a lot of this, while watching the movie, a lot of this movie felt like Mandalorian and Grogu to me.
It did, and it also kind of had like Avatar, where like he's on a planet with all these creatures that could kill him, and he doesn't know what the fuck to do with them. It's like there's a lot of fucking things here.
Yeah, there's a lot of strange stuff that really could have turned me off, but I ended up really enjoying it quite a bit. And I'm like, I don't know if I don't need to see a direct sequel to this. If they again want to just jump to another time period or whatever, I'm completely fine with that. But like you said, I would not be opposed to it either, just because I did enjoy it.
And I feel like because of how the story went, and the Predator actually has a fucking name now, Dex, we are more possibly going to get a sequel to this because he's an actual like character now, and not just, oh, he's the Predator in that movie or the Predator in that movie. Like none of them had names. You named this one. It's like when you find a lost dog, don't name it because now you're gonna have an attachment to it. Well, fuck. Now you named this Predator. His name's Dex. We know his whole fucking life story now. People are gonna want to see Dex now, and it's like, but do we want to see more of Dex? Dex isn't bad, but Dex is not the Predator that we know.
For some reason, I just feel like we're gonna see Dex end up teaming up with Naru from Prey and seeing what in some kind of.
And that's the other thing now too with Dan Trachtenberg, which once again, this is a potential good thing. I think it would have been better 15 years ago than now. But Predator's always kind of felt like just like one and done episodes. Like here's a Predator in this statement, here's a Predator in this statement, here's a Predator here. But with Killers, which both of us, one of the best films of the year, you have now tied all this together. This is all now in one thing. Now, we don't know where Predator Badlands takes place. If anything, they're saying this is probably the most recent in the timeline, whereas like everything's over here. Predator Badlands is all the way the fuck over here. But with Killers, Dutch is there. What's her name from Prey is there. Naru, Donald Glover's character, he's there. Danny Glover. I'm sure fucking Adrian Brody and what's her name from Predators, and then we're probably gonna see fucking Holbrook and Tremblay. It's like you've now fucking connected all this into one world. So now it's like, don't know if that's gonna work because it's not like you can get fucking Arnold to play Dutch. I mean, with AI and shit now you probably fucking could, but people aren't gonna like it. But you've now connected all this into a timeline, which it never used to be that way. So it's cool if you do it right. Which once again, I trust Dan. If Dan's doing this, it's got to be for a fucking reason, other than just like, hey, it'd be really fucking cool if they show. Like I feel like he's like, no, this is all going to lead to something. But yeah, I mean, if we actually look ahead, I think the first Predator film is the only one that actually straight up ends definitively. No, Predator 2 actually ends definitively too. I think the first two are the one. Every other one has a like open-ended potential sequel, but they never actually fucking do it. Because Predator 2 didn't, right? I mean, the Predators live.
That's what I was trying to think about because I don't even remember for sure how that ended. I remember
because he gets on the ship with the Predator because that's when you see the Xenomorph skull, so you realize that they're all in the same world. And then he gets the gun, which we see in Prey. So we like, oh shit, there's a connection. And then he kills the Predator on the ship. The Predators take the body, and they basically say, "You can fucking go." And then they leave, and then the movie ends. So it's got an end point. But it's not like in Predators where it's like they killed the Predator, but then all of a sudden here comes all this shit dropping and more Predators are coming, or the Predator, he gets a fucking super fucking suit, and it's like, okay, they're gonna hunt predators now, and and even in Prey, she's like, I'm a hunter now, so I'm gonna do all. Like, I think Predator 1 and Predator 2 are the only ones that didn't have a definitive fucking end, and of course in Badlands, it ends with that's mother, and it's like, well, what the fuck does that mean? Like, and then of course Killers is how it ended. So I mean, I think you and I are both in agreement is that we appreciate what Trachtenberg did with Badlands. We both just don't know if we like where he went with it. And that's what my worry is do you feel that the next Predator film is going to be a continuation of Dex, or is it going to be a continuation of Killer of Killers, or is it going to be something completely different? What do you think?
I feel like they're going to connect. I feel like it's going to be like the Killer of Killers. Now, I don't know if they'll do this in live action or animation, but I think you'll see Dex and those guys somehow together at some point.
I feel like if they want to do the whole Dutch and all that, then stay at anime. That's the only way you're gonna be able to do it safely with Arnold and all that.
But they're gonna want to make more live action films, so
especially with how successful Badlands has been.
I honestly think Dex becomes what actually, when you think about it, what Predator has never had, the whole franchise never had a consistent lead character. Like Alien's always been Ripley, right?
Well,
Predator's had like different protagonists each movie.
Well, Ripley for the first 4, and then Prometheus and Covenant, it was technically Fassbender was the only connective tissue in that, and Romulus will have what's her name and her brother.
Right, but I was saying, whereas Ripley at least had the first half of the Alien franchise, Predator has always had different protagonists, and I feel like Dex is going to be our protagonist in the movies for at least a couple more. So, and like you, I'm like, is that a good thing? I don't know.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
I feel like Dex would be good if you were going to go into Alien versus Predator, because then you have a definitive who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. But in another Predator movie, I mean, then what's he going to hunt? Is he just going to keep hunting creatures? Because at that point, that's not, I mean, yes, he's the Predator, he's hunting, but that's not, once again, it's not the Predator movies that we know. It's no longer a horror movie that the Predators have always been, where it's like, here comes this unstoppable Predator killing machine that's killing people and, ripping out their spines and skulls and skinning them and shit. Like, it's not that anymore. Now it's, here's Dex and, Thea? Is it Thea?
Thea.
Here's Dex and Thea, like the Mandalorian and Grogu. What wild adventures are they going to be on next? It's like, you've just Star Wars Disney-fied Predator. And money-wise, it's probably a good thing. But for the purists like us, it's like,
like with Thea, with Elle Fanning played Thea, and like you said, spoilers,
Tessa,
also her sister, other synth as well. But I thought that she was doing a really good job when she showed up, and she's kind of like these perky, kind of almost annoyingly happy and positive and very quirky in her
she was
humor.
Basically the fat kid from Up.
Yeah, it was. And so it's like I kind of really like that in the contrast, obviously the serious, not very talkative Dex. And so I really enjoyed that kind of both her performance and the way the characters kind of, clashed. But then like as the film went on, it's like she's got more just like serious, and she wasn't that same perky, fun kind of tone to her.
I mean, I'm like, it would also have been weird if she stayed that perky with what the story was going through at that point. But also, so you got that, but then once again, even more Star Warsy of it, we have Bud? What did they call the monkey? Was it Bud?
What did they call it? Bud, yeah, it's Bud.
But it ends up being the kid of the fucking creatures, and now that's like now he's got his own clan, and so it's like that's more like the Grogu of the group. So it's like we totally forgot about that. Like, oh yeah, now he has an animal companion, which is this fucking creature killing machine, the Kalisk, something like that. Kalisk. So it's like you even have that too. luckily it's no longer cutesy, because by the end of the movie it grew. So it's like, okay, you're not gonna have like the cutesy Grogu thing. You got this like fucking killing machine like thing. Yeah. But yeah, it's just, I trust Dan and what he's doing. I'm not jumping off ship after, because like I say, Badlands wasn't bad. It just was not what we expected or really kind of wanted. But he's done enough goodwill with Killer of Killers and Prey that I'm okay with seeing where he goes next. But I am worried that it's now going to be the adventures of Dex, Thea, and Bud. We could be completely wrong, and it might not be Bud at all. But
it's Bud.
Is it Bud? Okay. And I'm afraid that that's what Predator's going to be now, and it's not going to be. Which, I mean, if we get the animated, then we still got the viciousness of it. But I think we were so excited after Prey, because it was like, well, what if they go to like fucking King Arthur with all the medievals, or what if they go to the samurais, which we ended up getting in Killer and Killers, or the Vikings, which we got there. What if they go back to Sparta? Like that would be fucking sweet. It's like
Old West, man. Come on.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, the endless options. And Killers kind of gave it to us, but we also still want that in live action too. Like, we don't want the Dex story where it's a Star Wars adventure. Is he eventually going to run into Star Wars?
I think I didn't like about this movie, if I had to pick something I really didn't like, it's this alien world. It's like, I feel like you need these things to take place in more Earth, because every time they had like some new creature who shoots paralyzing darts, and this character or this creature will start lighting up, it'll explode, and then those tree creature, the vine ones who are after it. It's like all these alien creatures. I didn't really like the way they looked, and really the whole thing gave me kind of a Pandora vibe to it too.
Like I said, it was very Avatar.
Yeah, and I was like, I want this to be just more grounded. Don't give me Alien World. Have them be, because I mean, they obviously filmed it. I think they filmed like New Zealand and stuff. They filmed location stuff. They didn't try to do this with green screen, which thank God it looked phenomenal. But you could have just had it been in New Zealand. Now whatever century you want to put it in. It is.
Yeah, I did like it though when he learned to use the creatures as his weapons. Though I actually like that aspect.
Yeah, the whole suiting up for battle montage.
Yes. And he has the little like slug thing as his like laser beamer, because he doesn't have I was like, that's a really cool addition right there. The one part that really made me kind of laugh out loud, and you probably won't get the reference if you didn't watch the show, but they basically gave Thea the Doctor Who treatment with the TARDIS, because like in Doctor Who, for anyone who's a Doctor Who fan, they're always like, well, you keep going to all these alien worlds, how do they all know how to speak the language? And they always say, well, the TARDIS does a universal language dump, so wherever the TARDIS is, there's a certain range, and then they'll be able to understand you, and you can understand them. And literally, like the line in the movie when Thea's like, oh, you don't understand me, let me find your language, so that way anyone else that's around us can hear whatever language that they hear. It's like, I saw what you did there. I'm trying not to laugh or roll my eyes, but I saw what you did there. So that way she can speak English and the Predator can do subtitles and they can talk to you. Okay. I don't like that, but I see you Doctor Who'd it. Okay. Moving on.
Yeah.
But I said I gave it 4 stars. What did you end up giving it?
I gave 4 stars as well. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like we also collectively talked about the Predator franchise as a whole while we were doing that. Or is there anything else you want to? I was like, is there anything else you want to add before we go into the ranking?
No. Just the only thing I would have to say is that it's like, well, I guess I already did kind of all say this. Yeah, about how they keep like kind of killing it and restarting it and reviving it, and it still gets more chances. And now again, because you had 3 basically hits in a row, it's definitely kind of it's alive again. We're going to see more of these, so I'm happy for that. But
Well, that's the thing I was saying as well, is that like Predator has the ability to do this more so than Alien, because like I said, with Alien, you have the xenomorph, you have the facehugger, the baby, the warrior, whatever you want to call it, and then you have the queen. Predator, if you read the comics and graphic novels, and like what do they call them, the Yatu, or what's the species? The Yautja. If you never read any of that shit, and they're do you think any of the Predator fans that just watched the movies only knew what the fuck a Yachu was when they were saying that in Badlands? Because I don't know if they ever called it ever a Yachu.
No, the movies have never had the term Yautja in it. It's something that started in the comic book. They named it, and then I want to say in like maybe
Predators. No, they wouldn't have said it. They wouldn't have said it because no one knew it. Maybe in The Predator.
Yeah, no, it's possibly. But I think I think the Predator. I do remember seeing they're the first one to acknowledge that was the canon official name of them.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't. They've never said it before this movie,
because
really.
the Predators franchise as a whole has an ability to expand on the world more because there are other tribes. There's different kinds of predators. We saw that in Predators when they were using like the shorter one as bait, and then in the Predator there was like this really big one coming out the other way. They have the ability to do so much with Predator compared to Alien, because there's so much about the Predator species, world, culture, whatever that we just don't know if you didn't read the comics and the graphic novels. If you read those, and you probably fucking know everything, or you just go on and do a wiki dive into Predator lore, then you'll fucking get all that there. But for just the movie fans who just watch the movies and that's it, there's so much untapped Predator crap that they have not gone into compared to Alien that they could just explore and do so much more with. Which definitely, like I said, with Dan, I trust that we're going to get more of that. Because that's one thing that we also noticed too in Killer of Killers. Each Predator was different. In each movie, no Predator is the exact same. They're all different because they're all different kinds of Predator. Whereas Xenomorphs are all kind of the fucking same Xenomorphs to a point, But title it in. Let's go ahead and go into the actual rankings. Like I said, this is a cumulative list. This is my ranking mixed with Brian's ranking. So I might have something at 16, and it might be Brian's at 9th. So it'll end up at like 12 or something. So just this is our mixed together. Okay, yeah. So just bear in mind with that, because like
that was just in order to discuss them and to count down. Well, as we go about each one, we'll tell you what his ranking was and mine for it. So.
Yeah, I have a feeling like number 16 is going to be the exact same.
Yeah, well, and as I told Sean going into this, it's like when I added up the scores to figure out where they placed on the list, there's very definite tiers. There's like the first like 4 movies, and then there's like a big jump in the scores until like the middle section, and there's a jump again to get to like the bottom third of it. And it's very definite tiers here.
Of these 16 movies, there's the really fucking good, the okay, and then there's just fucking bad. So let's go ahead and jump into the bad. Right. What was our number 16?
So number 16 was Alien vs. Predator Requiem.
Which was my 16. Was it? I'm assuming it was your 16.
It was not my 16.
Really?
It was my 13.
There are 3 movies you had rated worse than this?
There are 3 movies I had rated worse than this.
Wow. Okay. So Brian's 13, my 16. Somehow it stayed 16. I figured that would have at least bumped it up to 15 or 14. Yeah, Requiem, which is the Alien vs. Predator sequel. This movie's just bad. It really is. It's really bad.
Well, here's my thing is like, it was Alien vs. Predator disappointed the hell out of me because, you have they PG-13'd it. Yeah. And it just seemed like a whole different kind of movie. It didn't work for me at all. And then so then they did Requiem. They're like, well, fine. Everybody wants their, R-rated bloody gore and violence. We're going to give it to them. And so they at least went way heavier into the violence and let it be an R-rated movie again. And the directors of it are the guys who did like Crank. So I was expecting like a really cool, so it's going to have some style and personality to it. It really didn't. So it's kind of a waste of some directors who at least have made some entertaining films. But yeah, it's there are other movies I have ranked lower for other reasons, but for this one it was just still the second time out for Alien vs. Predator. It's like, this isn't what we want to see. This is just it's kind of a mess. It's like you completely don't know what it is people are looking for in Alien vs. Predator. And plus, I remember there's a lot of complaints about this, but they're accurate. Is that the entire movie is so dark. It's hard to see.
I was gonna wait for you to finish, and then I was gonna say that. Yeah, my main problems with it. I mean, yeah, you have Aliens vs. Predator, but that wasn't the problem with the movie. Them fighting is not the problem.
Yeah,
it's too litly dark. You could barely see any of the actual action in the movie. The acting of everyone in the film is very sci-fi channel bad. And there's no, I think there's legit in my brain. I'm looking at the cast. There's no real star. In every Alien Predator movie, there's at least one star in it. There's not the closest one I can think of is oh god, I can't ever say her fucking name, but she's from the only thing I know her from is she's from 24, the TV show.
Rico Aylesworth, yeah.
She's the only name I know, and she's not even like the lead. She's just like one of the group. And they're all just bad. None of them are really likable. So once again, it's like they're like, oh, you guys, we realize that you guys really don't care about the fucking humans. So let's just cast like shitty actors and make sure that their stories are pointless and stupid because they're all gonna die anyway. Because all you care about is Alien versus Predator, which once again, it's one of those things where it's like these directors took that and said, you know what, fine, motherfuckers, you guys don't care about the humans. I'm just gonna write this as stupid as possible because you guys. Here's your Alien vs. Predator movie. It felt
like a slasher film, except they replaced the serial killer with an alien.
That is exactly what Requiem is. Is that it's like, well, fuck you guys. I'll give you the movie you guys want. You're gonna realize how much you guys don't like it. You're right. We didn't like it at all. It's very fucking bad. We really don't need to spend any more time on this.
No, moving on. No.
Moving on to 15.
Okay, 15 on the combined list is Prometheus, which was my number 16.
And it was my number 12.
So yeah, Prometheus for me is a movie that pisses me off on multiple levels. Because one,
it pisses us both off on multiple fucking levels.
Because okay, so essentially what it is,
it's the only movie without a fucking xenomorph in it.
Yeah, and he won't admit it to you, but this is the truth. Basically, Ridley Scott had an idea for this movie he wanted to make, Prometheus. But his movies have all been flops. Mixed results at best in this last couple decades of his career. And so basically he thought, well, I can go back to and tie it to Alien, and people will love it. People are clamoring, keep asking me, will I ever do another Alien? Well, you know what? I'll try and make it shoehorn the story I want to tell into the Alien universe. And so it's this movie that's just so tentatively connected to the Alien verse by like a thread. And the movie itself, it tries to get all super cerebral and stuff. I really didn't like Michael Fassbender's characters. I didn't really like that whole thing at all. The human characters, while I like all those actors, I was just like, I didn't like the way anybody was written. And then I found myself making fun of things like when they're running from the rolling ship. It's like, we'll just go off to the side.
Just run off to the damn side, man.
Just take a step to the right and you're good.
Like it's a good ways away. You can run left or right. You will be.
But basically, the reason it ranks lowest is because it really, I found it dreadfully boring, and the fact that it's like is barely even connected to the Alien verse, and is only connected to that because Ridley Scott didn't want to make this an Alien movie, but he could only get it funded if he did. So
Prometheus, why I think I have it higher is because I just, the other movies are just collectively just bad in terms of performances below it. Prometheus at least has, in my opinion, probably the best cast of any of these films. From number 1 all the way down to 16, this collectively has the best cast of people. I mean, you got Charlize Theron, you got Idris Elba, you got Noomi Rapace. I almost said Rumi Mara. You've got I'm blanking on his name. From Upgrade.
Oh, not Tom Hardy.
Yeah, not Tom Hardy.
Logan Marshall Green.
Yes, you got Logan Marshall Green. You also, I mean, there's many people I'm leaving it. This has got hands down the best acted cast of anyone on here. And when they're acting, and of course Fassbender. When they're acting, it's not bad acting. You don't care about how they're written, but they're not acting badly at all in this movie, which is why I think I give it a little more of a bump, because these are great, really well done performances in the film. But you tried to make it an alien movie, and there's no fucking aliens. Like it's not even an egg. It looks like a fucking capsule pill, and then it's like this slug, not a face hugger, and then it's like, you know what? I'm Ridley Scott. I want to make an alien movie, but you know what? I'm just going to make them all think it's an alien movie. You remember that fucking statue creature thing in the first film that no one paid attention to? that's what the movie's gonna be about, and everyone's gonna fucking love it. No, we fucking didn't. What made you fucking think that that's the movie that people wanted to see? About these guys who basically look like they're, just guys with inflatable bodysuits. Like, no one fucking.
That's the thing that killed me the most about this movie. The whole engineers, and they're basically saying how they are like basically founded Earth, and so they took this whole thing. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing?
This movie,
with this origin of species bullshit.
This movie felt like an alien movie that was written by the architect in Matrix Resurrection.
You're right. Absolutely.
It felt so up your ass to the point where it's like, this is all philosophical. Fuck you. This is not that. But in spite of that, it's really well acted, but I fucking hate the story. I hate everything about it. It visually looks great. It looks fantastic. It's well acted by everyone in it, but fuck you for making an alien movie without an alien. And before all of you go, there was an alien at the very end. That was not a fucking xenomorph. Do not come at me saying that's a xenomorph. That was some weird fucking ugly ass creature that they try to knock off as a xenomorph so that way Ridley Scott can say, see, it's an alien movie. Fuck you.
Yeah, but and the other thing about this movie that bothers me is clearly they had cut some scenes out or plans for the future that didn't happen or whatever, because they have Guy Pearce in this movie just to put him like super old age makeup, and like clearly we're going to see him a younger version of him. Either he's going to de-age or he's going to flashback sequences something, because why else would you cast this of whatever, I don't know, 40 50-year-old man in the role of like a 90-year-old? Nope, just make up for no reason.
Yeah. And probably the most terrifying scene in this whole fucking movie is the fucking C-section scene.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's just like, oh my God. But no, this movie sucks. Let's go to number 14.
Number 14, Alien versus Predator. What was this in yours?
This was my 11.
This was my 14. It ranked for me one level below Alien versus Predator Requiem. Simply because, like I said, when they PG-13'd it, and it had a way more annoying to me. I mean, the Alien vs. Predator Requiem cast was annoying, but the cast in AVP just annoyed the shit out of me, and I wanted them all to die. The lead girl, especially, I'm like, I don't like getting behind this person, and so but I think just the fact that it was like PG-13ified and the story was just weird. It's one of my least favorite, and it just ranks just below Requiem for me.
AVP's performances and acting outside of Tommy Flanagan, who I love, and wasn't Hendrickson in this?
Yeah,
which he was fine. This cast was the most annoying. Requiem's was just bad acting, just straight bad acting, and I'll take annoying acting over bad acting any day. I think the concept of AVP, where it's like they're in this Arctic, like basically a fucking pyramid, and then you kind of realize this actual more deep mythological story between the alien and the predator has been going on for way longer, but it's been kind of like, not quieted down. But I think there was a lot of good ideas in this movie. It just didn't get utilized to its potential. And then you had the concept of the Xenopredator at the very end, which was like, that's super interesting. I'm actually real intrigued by that. And then they completely just didn't do shit with it in Requiem. So like I said, there are parts of this movie that could have been amazing. And they just did not. It's not that it didn't work, is that it just felt like they just didn't have the imagination to fully see it all the way through, which is weird. But it was like, it wasn't. I'm going back and rewatching this because I've seen it within the last year. I don't hate it as much as I used to. It's still not great, but it's not as bad as I remember. But it just feels ambitious without the urge to want to be great, is why it's at my 11. But yeah.
Next on the list at number 13 is Predator 2, which was my 12.
It was my 13. This is another one that I went back and rewatched recently. This one was and this one's a product of its time. It really
absolutely is. Absolutely.
It's one of those where it's like watching it now, it's like, oh my god, this movie fucking sucks. And it's like, no, this was it 90? Was it 90?
90.
Yeah. It's like, no, this is just kind of how it was in 90. It's really badly acted. It's very badly paced. There's a very the storyline is like, I want to make a movie about LA riots and gangs, and then I'm just gonna throw a fucking Predator into it. And that's kind of what's wrong with Predator 2. It's like they basically throw Murtaugh into this movie from Lethal Weapon without Mel Gibson, which at that point just make it a fucking Lethal Weapon Predator spinoff. I would have been fucking down for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Give me Mel Gibson versus the fucking Predator with Shane Black writing it. Where the fuck is that movie? Give me that.
Just have Murtaugh and Deck just screaming in each other's faces.
I'm too old for shit. Well, I'm too young to know what's too old for this shit. But Predator 2 is just, watching it now, it's a fucking train wreck. It's really bad. And it's almost borderline unwatchable to a point, but it's Predator 2, so it's like I grew up with it, so it's got that nostalgia that's like, but it's Predator 2. But then you watch it like, this really actually fucking is awful. This really sucks. Acting is atrocious.
Yeah, no, for me, like my number 12 with this and Up. Oh, there's still another one to talk about on the combined list though. This is where I hit the movies where like I like these movies. I don't hate them anymore. I don't think they're bad movies. They're just other ones that I like more. There's gonna be some ones I really like that are low on the list, but that's just because there's so many more above it that I also like. And Predator 2 is one of those because it's just especially 1990. That's what the sequels were. They were just like, let's just pump out another sequel, slap a 2 on it. People will go see this movie. So they throw together this story, and this is, there's only been one film so far with the main Predator, and so but this one decides it's going to take this time jump into what at that time was the future.
Wasn't it like 97 or 99?
Like 97, I think it was, something like that.
Yeah.
But they kind of, that was the first time they're like, okay, let's take this time jump and we're going to do it here, which then of course they took in future movies. They went to all kinds of different time periods and things.
That's the that's the thing that made no sense about this. They time jumped to 97, but it's just regular day. There's nothing about it that had to make it 97. It's not like there's
mostly. I mean, society's broken down a little bit, and it seems like it's much more chaotic environment and all this kind of stuff.
But there's no futuristic shit in this.
Is that what they were doing? They were like, okay, we were in the jungle last time, so what can we do to like change it up instead of just doing more of the same? Let's go totally urban. Let's go, inner city, and see what a Predator would do in that kind of environment, what kind of damage you could do. And so the concept was a good concept. Your cast is a good cast. You got Danny Glover, you got Bill Paxton, you got, Gary Busey, who, is not a great actor, but he's fun to watch, and especially
then he was fine.
Unhinged. Yeah. So you have, and Ruben Blades and all these other people. It's a great cast assembled of kind of like these people that are not usually, the main star of a movie. It's kind of one of those more like you finally given that B list a time to shine, which I love those kind of casts. So everything about this should have been awesome, and I still enjoy it, but it's just kind of fine. It's surprisingly kind of boring in parts to get through it. And so while I don't dislike the movie, it's my lowest of ranked of the ones I do like.
It's also one of those movies that feels like every scene has to be shouted and yelled.
Yeah.
There's very few scenes where everything's kind of a calm conversation. Everything has to be very stressed, very amped up, very argumentative. Everything, it's a very loud movie, and it doesn't have to be loud the entire time. But yeah, it's loud to the point of like, I would turn it down. That was level.
That was 1990. Anything Joel Silver touched, and he was one of the producers on this thing. So it's a Joel Silver.
Like I said, it's one of those where it's like, if it was made today, it would be fucking awful. But it's like it was 1990, so it's like you got to take it for what it is.
Yeah.
What's the next one?
Next up on the list at number 12 is my number 11, which is Alien Resurrection.
That is my number 14. Which is not my lowest Alien movie, but it is number 14.
So I'll go first on this one because Alien Resurrection, like I have it higher than him. I have it at 11, but I really liked about half of what this movie was trying to do. Because you got Ripley, you found a way to bring her back, but she's a clone. And of course, she finds out about all these other ones, these twisted, failed versions that they tried before her. And so kind of you're getting her with a different personality. You're getting her with kind of, dealing with some different issues instead of just, run away from aliens. And then you have like this, kind of crew of, misfits or whatever, with the
Ron Perlman.
Yeah, Ron Perlman. You got the guy who's on CSI. You got I just blanked out on the dude's name. He always plays villains. He's Michael Wincott. Who,
I was gonna say, are you trying to think of Lost?
Yeah, Sheriff for Nottingham and all.
Oh yeah,
not Sheriff for Nottingham, but he was in
Nope. He was in Nope recently.
Yeah, but he was like the go-to kind of gravelly voiced bad guy in movies for the longest time. Here he was kind of a good guy, I guess. So you have that crew, which I enjoyed that. You have Winona Ryder, who I had a crush on ever since I was a kid. You're bringing her on, and she's going to be like the what do you call them?
She's synthetic.
Synthetics. Yeah, I'm sorry, I blanked on the word. For this movie, everything should have worked, and it worked for me until they fucking brought in that abomination newborn fucking weird piece of shit at the end who's like, oh, mama, and that whole thing. If you chopped that out of the movie, I really do enjoy this movie because it's got a different style to it, because as what Alien did for first many films was a different director for each movie, a whole different kind of style and vision to it. You go from Ridley Scott to James Cameron's more action oriented to David Fincher's, obviously his visual style, and then this guy who's Jean-Pierre Jeunet, who I knew had made a movie called City of Lost Children, which also had Ron Perlman in it. And it's like, so this kind of brought almost kind of a little bit of artsy style to its version of sci-fi, and so I liked it. But it's just that last that newborn fucking alien shit, just oh my god.
I really dislike this movie. But I dislike it. I dislike it less than the other Alien movie that we'll probably be talking about a little bit later. This literally has the trope of let's throw in a basketball scene, that'll be cool, and it's so fucking bad. The idea of like, hey, we need to get Sigourney Weaver back as Ripley, but it's like, but wait, she died in the last one. Then we'll clone her. And it's like, fuck off. Like, seriously, it's like, you have Winona Ryder. And I know I already bitched about this earlier, but like, not every movie has to have a Ripley-like character, but Winona Ryder could be Ripley, basically, at that point. You could have gone, like you said, younger Ripley. Or you could have just done, here's the girl, she's going to be the final girl. But it's like, no, let's clone Ripley and bring Sigourney Weaver back. And she didn't even look like she fucking wanted to be there. She looked like she was just.
Well, it's weird because they were trying to say basically she had like essentially some alien DNA was mixed in with hers or whatever.
Yeah.
Because she was kind of always acting like kind of alien stuff like that, and it's definitely was weird at the time, but really, Ripley in Resurrection is the prototype for Alien Earth, because the girl who's like the one that's communicating, the main one that's communicating with
Wendy.
Wendy. The one's communicating with the alien stuff. She's kind of acting the same way, and she has the same kind of super abilities, like they were trying to show off that this clone of her had.
But then you have these awkward scenes with her and Ron Perlman with them like playing basketball, and you have just like.
I liked that whole crew though; they were so much fun.
I was gonna say, like, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a movie that did this version better, that also had Ron Perlman in it. Blade 2. It felt very Blade 2, but Sigourney Weaver was Blade. It's like, oh, you're supposed to be dead, but you're not. You're back. Hey, we need you to help us with this thing. Here's this group of people. And this very much was Blade 2, but this came up first. And then, of course, you had the fucking alien baby. And it was better than the different alien baby we get in the later film, but it still wasn't good by any means. I am not a fan of this. I just, there's not much more to say other than this movie just sucks.
Which then moving on to number 11, which is Alien Covenant, which was my 15.
That was my 9.
Yeah, because for me, the Covenant is still just more of Prometheus's bullshit. Because you still got, Fassbender's characters, you still got them talking about the fucking engineers and showing these flashbacks and shit. It's like all that shit that this one is just even more because, he got so much feedback saying, oh, there weren't any real aliens in Prometheus. So it was like, fine, I'm still going to carry on my bullshit, philosophical story that I want to carry on, but I'll put a little bit more alien action into it. And so, what sucks is like I liked like the crew they assembled like at the beginning of it and stuff. I like a lot of the actors in this movie, but it just still feels like the Covenant felt like two movies. It was like the Alien movie that we're getting of the alien kicking ass and this crew, and then the philosophical bullshit with fucking David and all that. And so that's why it's definitely better than Prometheus for me, but it's still one of my bottom films.
Yeah, this movie is 100. I 100% agree. This definitely is the movie where they're like, really, Scott, dude, if you want another one of these, you got to fucking put some xenomorphs in it. Okay, fine. And you got to call it Alien. Okay, fine. So it very much is two different movies. But I really, really, really like the alien aspect of this movie. And like you said, I really like the crew. Catherine Waterston, I don't know what it is about her, but I really like her. Her career kind of died after this, which sucks. Because I actually do really like her as an actress. And then of course you got of course you got Fassbender, you got Billy Crudup, you got Danny McBride. So I mean it's like I like the people that are in this. And yes, you've got funny scenes like David teaching the other date. It's not David. What's the other Fassbender?
Walter.
Robot? Yeah, David and Walter. You got David teaching Walter how to play with his wood flute. And that does sound sexual. And you know what? It kind of came off sexual, like Fassbender wanted to fuck himself.
It really was.
And then you got the funny, the moment that you couldn't help but laugh at where he presses like Walter's button and he goes like this. It was just like, what the hell? Why do we see that? That was a cool scene. But in spite of that, I feel like it actually does mesh well with what they were doing. I feel like it is two different movies, but I felt like the alien aspect actually worked with the Prometheus aspect because of Fassbender. Because Fassbender's still Fassbender. You can say you don't like it, but when Fassbender's actually being evil, David, he's fucking captivating. And then you got to deal with the xenomorph shit at the same time. And I enjoyed it for what it was doing. I feel like Prometheus was all sorts of wrong, and Covenant was a step in the right direction for where they were going. So it was one of those things where, and then I even liked how the ending was. I was intrigued to see where they were going to go with it based on how it ended, where it's like they thought they killed David and it ended up being David's on the ship and he's infecting all of them and everything. And so that way the xenomorphs were going to move on. So I was intrigued by where we were going to get with that. So yes, it is two movies kind of stuffed into one. You could kind of tell Ridley Scott was really pissed that he had to fucking bring the xenomorphs in, but it worked for me ultimately, which is why it was in my top 10.
But I'm glad though that after that said, okay, no more Ridley Scott's bullshit. Let's get some new blood in here.
It took a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah. The next up is number 10 is Alien 3,
which was my 15.
And it was my 9. So, why don't you go first? I went first the last couple.
This is there's not a whole lot for me to say about this. This is the only Alien movie that I can put on that'll make me fall asleep. This movie bores the shit out of me. I've tried watching Alien 3. More times than I'd like. This is the Alien version of Citizen Kane. And for anyone who knows me, Citizen Kane is movie melatonin. It is not one of the best films of all time. It is one of the most overrated fucking films of all time because it always puts me to sleep. And Alien 3 is the Citizen Kane of the Alien movies. I don't like the atmosphere of it. And I know Fincher's a great director. I don't like the atmosphere of it. It's got a good cast, but my God, they fucking put me to sleep. You would think that a prison would be like a really cool spot for a xenomorph, but goddamn, you made this movie dull and boring as shit. And I literally watched this fucking not even 4 months ago, and all I can remember is the end. I can only remember, and I've always known how it ended because the ending stuck with me because fucking Ripley dies at the end. I watched this not even 4 months ago, and I could not tell you a goddamn scene that happened in that movie because it's that fucking boring to me. But Brian loves it, so I'll let Brian talk positively about it.
I don't say I love it. I actually just
compared
rewatched
to
this.
where I'm at on it.
Yeah. I just rewatched this from probably a week or two ago. And I watched the it's not the director's cut. It's the what I think they call the assembly cut. It's what the basically David Fincher's editor put together as close as he could to what he knew was David Fincher's original, final cut that he wanted, and put it. So it's basically kind of the close thing to an actual director's cut because Fincher didn't want to go back and work on it. And that one, I find decidedly improves this movie. But even without that, this is a movie I actually do enjoy quite a bit. There are obviously several other things above it, but David Fincher's kind of atmosphere and style, I did dig that atmosphere, because again, went for something completely different because you had, the stark, ness of space and almost the horror movie of Alien. Then you had that military kind of feel for the second film, was more action. And this one, again, they changed the tone of it. And David Fincher kind of brought something new. This being his first film, it's kind of his introduction to, most audiences. You can see the kind of atmosphere that's carried over through all his films. And is it dark and is it damp and depressing? Yeah, it is, but that's just his style. And this prison setting worked for it. I will say the pacing was this movie's biggest problem. It definitely is very slow. It can put you to sleep. I completely agree with that. So I'm not going to try and defend that point. But I still find enough enjoyment in it that I ranked it a little bit higher than you, but it still ended up all the way down to number 2.
What was your ranking of it?
I had it at a 9.
9. Okay.
Yeah.
So wait. So Covenant was what for you?
Covenant was 15 for me.
So we both had. This is the same score for you.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's weird. That's weird. That's
yeah.
Weird.
So technically, I guess those two are tied. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Now there's a bit of a jump to the next tier. Moving up to the next tier.
I feel like we've now gotten through the bad, and now we're at the okay to decent grouping now.
At number 9 is The Predator from 2018.
Almost.
What's that?
This was I said almost. This is my number 10.
Yeah, so this directed by Shane Black, but written by Shane Black along with Fred Decker, his old writing partner. Most of this feels like a Fred Decker script because and Shane Black just kind of threw some of his dialogue and stuff in there. But it still all worked for me. I loved the I forget what they call the group. The Group B, I think.
Don't even look at me. I'm not gonna remember their group name.
Something. But Group 2, I think they call it. They call themselves the Loonies. We had Keegan Michael Key and you had Thomas Jane and all those. I loved that whole group. I thought they were a ton of fun, and they were definitely straight out of the mind of Shane Black, and especially the way they talked, and they didn't care about being politically correct with the jokes they're telling and the Tourette syndrome and all that shit. So I was really loving that group. Olivia Munn, I'll watch her and anything, especially if you're gonna show her, trying to change clothes and get naked in front of a predator to try and hide herself. That was a little weird. So, but I'll take it. Olivia Munn, I like her. Boyd Holbrook as a lead, I'm here for it. I like him. I think he's kind of another one of those that they almost tried to push too hard, and so kind of he's taking a step back now. And I think maybe he'll find a more natural way to kind of be a leading man again because I liked him in this. But as far as like the Predator, this is the one where you see Predator become a good guy basically at some point because there's like the worst Predator that's coming together, and so it's another one of those things where like, is this what we want? Where we want it to go? It's kind of got a mixed tone to it. Jacob Tremblay's character in this movie was kind of fucking stupid. I'm autistic, so it's like basically as my superpower, and I can understand all this stuff. So I mean, there's definitely kind of things that I don't like about it, but the things I did like about it outweigh those.
There's a lot of elements in this movie that branches out into other films, like Tremblay's ability to be able to understand the Predator is how Wendy is in Alien Earth. He's autistic, so he can understand the aliens' blueprints and everything. Even though he's never seen this stuff anywhere before in his life, he understands it. Olivia Munn, I have nothing against Olivia Munn, but they really need to pick what she was because she's supposed to be a scientist, but then she's also like fucking Laura Croft. Like she's fucking jumping around doing roles and fighting and shit. Like, okay, you need to pick a lane. What are you? Are you a badass or are you a scientist? Because I'm sorry, you unless you establish it, which you don't. They don't establish it in the movie at all. She's just a scientist, And then all of a sudden she's starting to do all this shit. I'm like, where the fuck did you learn all this shit? Like, come on. I will say, in terms of the army buddies, this is my favorite group of actors because you got, you said Boyd Holbrook, you got Trevante Rhodes, which where did he go, man? He just seemed to disappear out in Hollywood after this and Moonlight, man. Like, that guy had so much potential, and he just kind of, I don't know where he went. Then Sterling K. Brown is just chewing the scenery in this. Then of course you got Thomas Jane, Keegan Michael Key, Alfie Allen. All of them are fun, and I love their interactions with each other. But this movie's pacing just felt off. And this wasn't the first movie where the Predator was the good guy. That was AVP. AVP was the first one where the Predator was the good guy.
Oh, that was? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But once again, you kind of have like this aliens, and then you also, this is the first time we had like, oh, there's a Predator dog, and it's good, and it's going to be helpful. I'm like, what?
Only when you lobotomize it. Apparently.
Yeah, if you lobotomize it, all of a sudden, if that's all we got to do is just shoot the thing in the fucking head, it'll be a good guy now? Great. And it's like, what the fuck? And
no, there was definitely the Predator dogs are one of the things that did not work for me. So I completely agree. And I will say
the fucking
the very final scene, just don't even watch that scene. It feels just so tacked on, and it's awful, and it's horrible, and just turn the movie off.
The ending is so fucking bad. It's so fucking bad. Oh god, yeah. I would like to just take the last like 3 minutes of the film and just throw it away, burn it, don't ever see it. I think this one's so low for me because I think we both hyped this up in our heads because it was Shane Black and the cast around it, that it just never matched our anticipation, especially not mine. And like I said, I even watched this, like I said, I went back and we watched all these recently during the summer. And this one, I just watched it. I was like, why isn't this gelling? Everything about this should work. It should gel. And it just doesn't. Even the Predator scenes are not exciting. They're not even fun. The human cast is fun. That's just because they're, telling jokes and just fucking around the whole time. But like then the Predator shows up and it feels like the movie just loses, except for the final fight in like the forest. Like that's the only time I think where I actually enjoyed the Predator in this movie. Everything else was just like, oh yeah, there's the Predator. And you should never feel that way watching a Predator movie at all. And this one just didn't work for me. I was so bummed when I watched this, and I was like, man, this was supposed to be good. You were supposed to be the good one. You fucking sucked, man. God damn it.
You were supposed to be the chosen one.
Yeah. And now you're just like all the other ones. You're all the fucking alien movies. You suck. But yeah.
Okay, now we crushed Sean's inner child. Moving up to number 8 on the list is Prey. And let me just say, first of all, if Prey is your number 8 on your list, you got a pretty good fucking list ahead of you. So
that's my number 5. So
yeah. It's my number 10. But like I said, from 12 up is all movies I like, and especially once you get here to like 10, it's like they're movies I really like. It's just a matter of you got to rank them, and the other ones I liked more. So I think in this one, the whole going back to this Native American times, it's like, okay, that's an interesting concept to it, but I don't know, something about it I just wasn't as invested as I was in a lot of the other movies. And maybe it's because especially because they had him talk in English, which I think was a mistake. And I won't go into the whole thing
which version you watched, but yeah,
I won't go into the whole thing like I did in the full review. But it's like I feel like they could have done this, just in their regular language and have subtitles, or even not have subtitles, because there's really so little necessary dialogue in this movie. But they just sound like some teenage kids from California, in the forest, playing as Native Americans. And so that didn't work for me. And then you can go to a Comanche dub track that they put in later on, but it doesn't match up. So anyway, but all this just to say that I kind of liked the idea and I enjoyed the movie, but I was like, didn't need to see, I want to see the continuing story of this girl. I'm just like, if she pops up, great. But I'm glad that this isn't the focus of it anymore, because it was all right.
This was the first one that made me feel like, and I'm saying this, you're going to go, This is the first one that made me feel like the first Predator film again. It was very grounded. It was very simple. It's like, here's this time frame where we're at. The Predator lands. The Predator's hunting. It comes across the main protagonist of the film. They fight. Movie's over. It's a very simple story. You have, you said Naru?
Naru, yeah, N-A-R-U.
Naru. She's basically a Native American woman who wants to be a hunter, but she's a woman. How dare she think that way? So she has all this shit to prove, and she's constantly being talked down to and treated like shit by all the male Native Americans. And and then she sees the Predator before anyone else does, and no one believes her. She notices something's wrong. No one believes her. I mean, we've seen the story 100 times. But I love the way blanking on her name, the actor's name.
Amber Midthunder?
Yeah, Amber Midthunder. I love the way she performs in this. Now, she's not getting an Oscar for this, but it's a very well done performance for what this film is doing. When we do get the Predator, I love that it's trying to figure out what is the top prey. I love that you see it's a snake attacking something, and then it kills the snake, and then it's like, okay, well that was too easy. And then it goes after the bear, which I thought was a really fucking awesome scene when it fights the bear. It's learning as it's there as well. It's not just the Predator shows up and it's like, I'm just going to kill humans. It's like, no, it's trying to figure itself out as well. And it's doing it 90% of the time in camouflage, which I thought was a really cool thing. Also, just easy way to save money on the budget. But it felt very indie, but it worked for me as an indie. And then when we finally do actually get some straight up fighting, I think it was all well choreographed. The brutality of it was very well done. And then, like I said, much like the first Predator film, when Arnold finally figures out how it should fight the Predator, and Naru feels like how she fights for, I feel like that whole staging of it was really well done. It had great callbacks from earlier aspects of the film that they used, such as like the flower that makes your blood cold and the quicksand that she almost died in, stuff like that. And I feel like it was a really well orchestrated script. It wasn't trying to go too chaotic or too complex. It was a very simple script, which once again is kind of one of those things where it's like you have an actor, or not director, you had a director in Dan Trachtenberg who no one really fucking knew. And he said, hey, I have a good idea for a Predator movie. And you have someone like Hulu goes, you know what? We're not going to give you a big budget, but let's see what you can do with this and go from there. And he fucking went out and he did probably the best he could possibly do with the budget he had. And it was a great fucking Predator film. And now we've got him into his third film, and we're all like, just if he does this for the rest of his life, we're all going to be happy. Right now, we're saying that. But Prey was one of those where we, like I said, the last one was the Predator that we just talked about, where it was just like, man, disappointed me so fucking much. And then here comes Prey, and it's like, oh, it's not even going to get a theatrical release. It's going straight to Hulu. You're like, fuck, man, really? This is going to be bad. And then you're watching going, this is actually really fucking good. And then you're mad that it was only on Hulu and didn't go to theaters because you knew it would have fucking made money.
Yeah, I was so mad about that. And then before Predator was coming out, I heard they were going to do, before Badlands came out, I heard they were going to do like some double features. You could go see, Prey and Predator Badlands on the first night. I'm like, that's a great idea. That's awesome. I'll absolutely go see that. And then I found out they're only doing like, I think 15 cities across the country. It's like, I'm not even sure Chicago had it, but it was just like, screw you then. But yeah, because I would have loved to have seen Prey back on the big screen.
Yeah, Prey was great. I love Prey.
Yeah. Number 7 for our combined list, I believe, is also my 7 and also your 7, and that's Predator Badlands.
Yeah, which, once again, we already talked about that. So we'll just move right along. Which, honestly, like I said, it's right in that, like, it's in the good, it's not in the great. It's right at the edge of the borderline there.
Oh, so, now for me, everything from here on out is solid.
Well, like I said, looking at my list, because I liked Alien Covenant. Pretty much anything from 9 up is considered good to me, and 10 down is bad. Yeah. So 7 is not a bad spot for Badlands.
That was not. Beat out just barely by our number 6, which is Alien Romulus. Which Alien Romulus is another one of those movies where I really liked so much about the movie. And there's some little things here and there, like, I don't love the lead actress as much, but that's not a big deal for me. What gets me is the end of this movie where they basically have another fucking hybrid alien, but everybody who fucking ripped on the one in Alien Resurrection is suddenly okay with it in this movie. Like, no, fuck you. You can't have it both ways.
No, it's worse. It's worse.
Yeah, there's no reason to have this hybrid alien in there. It's kind of like what Jurassic World has done, where it's like, I know they did it within the story, but also in the making of the movies they did. But like, well, people are bored with dinosaurs. Got to have something different. So we're gonna start inventing like different creatures. Like, no, we're fine with the fucking xenomorphs. Stop trying to invent these newborn weird fucking hybrid shit.
You can come up with new versions of the xenomorph. You don't have to do this.
Which Noah Hawley showed us. Have these other aliens.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't have to do this new, like, this weird ass humanoid thing. Like, don't. Just keep them looking like xenomorphs. It's not that hard. It's not.
Because other than that thing, I really enjoyed this movie, especially forgot his name.
David Johnson?
Yeah, David Johnson. I thought he did a phenomenal job.
He was great. He was great in this. He plays a synthetic. Yeah. This movie I liked, but it frustrated me because it was like I could name 10 things I loved about it, but then I could also name 10 things that bugged me about it. Not enough cannon fodder in the movie. Not enough people to kill. So it's very much a very tight-knit movie. It's like, oh, there's only like 5 people on the ship. Naturally, you have the final girl who's going to survive, and then her android, or a synthetic brother, he's not going to get killed, And then at that point, it's like, oh, cool, you have 3 people left. That's not a lot of kill count in the movie. But then, on a positive, best version of the face huggers they ever did. They made the face huggers terrifying in this movie. Why? Because they were the main fucking villain in this movie, not the xenomorph. Because the xenomorph's barely in the goddamn film. And when we do get the xenomorph, we get the acid zero gravity scene, which I know Brian loved. Which I didn't hate it, but I was just like, the main baddie is the xenomorph, and while I love what they're doing with the face huggers, you guys are severely underutilizing the xenomorph, and then you're focusing on the second big bad to be this fucking alien monstrosity at the end of the movie, which really irked the fuck out of me. But visually everything looked great outside of the fucking alien monster at the end. Fede Alvarez, we loved what he did with Evil Dead, so when we saw he was gonna do Aliens, we're like, oh shit, this is gonna be good. Which maybe our anticipation level is a little too high because we know what he's capable of with Evil Dead. We can only imagine what he was going to do with this. Did it reach Evil Dead level? No, it did not. But that, once again, I think it's because he didn't utilize the fucking xenomorphs. But I feel like there's a really fantastic movie in there. We just didn't get that. We just got a decent movie. Like, very promising, but could have been better, and we'll see what they do with the sequel. I think Fede said he was going to do the sequel. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I thought I heard that he did, and I thought I heard that it was going to carry on with the same 2 leads and stuff in it. But
yeah,
I almost kind of wish they'd kind of move on to whatever the next thing is. But I'm okay because I enjoy this movie enough. Like you said, it's our number 6. So I'm willing to watch more. But it's kind of like
Romulus is my number 8.
Yeah,
just that way you guys know.
Yeah, it's combined number 6. Sorry.
Yeah.
So combined number 5 is Predators with an S. Robert Rodriguez's take on the Predator franchise, which I had at my number 6.
It was also my number 6, but I had that in Predator Badlands, like 6A, 6B kind of thing.
That's right. Yeah. So this one is one that I think I just liked the concept of it more than anything else. This is kind of the precursor to fucking Killer of Killers. Yeah. Because, they just took somebody from each of these different, now these are all in the same time. It's not from different time eras. But, you have a Yakuza guy, you have a guy who's from the military, you have somebody else, like, you find out he's like fucking serial killer. And then
you got Great Walton Goggins. It's just like this inmate.
Yeah, inmate. So you have a great kind of, collection, the classic collection of like the people that aren't going to get along, but they have to work together if they're going to survive. But at the same time, they're after each other's throats. And, and I just love the dynamic between all the characters there. Great cast of character actors, from Adam Adam Brody.
Adrian
Brody, Topher Grace, Walton Goggins, I talked about, Lawrence Fishburne's in here, Danny Trejo's in here, Mahershala Ali is in here. It's just a great cast, top to bottom. And they've got some, fun dialogue, like I said, with the relationships between the characters. You got some good, gory predator action because you got Robert Rodriguez doing it. It was not a perfect movie for me, but I really enjoyed the hell out of it.
I 100% agree with everything that you said. The concept of this is what sells this movie.
Yep.
And it's one of those things.
Especially the way it opens, just like in free fall. You're like, what the fuck's going on? Yeah.
That's the thing is I'm wondering is like everything about this worked. And it's like, what didn't work? I was like, maybe was it the Lawrence Fishburne part? But I was like, but that was necessary because it showed that someone did survive. And that's what they've been doing to survive while they've been gone. So it's like, that's not even bad. But it's just like, part of me just wonders, like, what is it? Maybe they needed more Predator in it because it was kind of the Predator dogs that was hunting them for a while. And it wasn't really the Predator. So it's like, part of me literally tries to go back and watch this and go, the cast is fantastic. The concept is fantastic. The Predator world is fantastic. What about this puts it at number 6? Because I can't really think of a fucking negative about this movie. And there are people who just didn't like this. And I'm like, what are you wanting then? What are you, if you don't like Predators, I don't understand what you're wanting in a Predator movie.
The only thing I think of is that they didn't like that really it became about the real villain of the movie is, Topher Grace's character. And
I think a lot of people just want to hate on Topher Grace because of his Venom.
It was kind of a weird, subplot to put in there. So I think some people didn't like that.
But even then, that subplot lasts, 2 minutes tops? It's a 2 minute
it's kind of sprinkled through the movie, but it's essentially basically that one.
Yeah.
At the end. Yeah. So, I think just the reason it's because where it is because the 4 above it are perfect movies.
Well, but I mean, for you and I both, it's both of our number 6. So there's 5 movies in front of it that we just liked more. Maybe it's the action. Maybe it's like the actual, it's like fight scenes are better than the others. I don't know, but it's like I look at Predators and I feel like you and I are kind of like this is our like Age of Ultron, where it's like I feel like everyone wants to shit on this movie, but you and I are on this mountain just defending this movie to everybody, and we can't understand why no one else seems to really not like this movie because we both think it's brilliantly done, but everyone else is just kind of like ugh on it. And did Robert Rodriguez produce this? Because he didn't direct this.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, he produced it. I'm sorry. Nimrod Atal, is that his name?
Yeah, because you and I are like, of all the people I know that have watched this, only 2 other people have given this 4 stars. Everyone else, it's like a 3, 2, 2.5, 2, 2, and it's like, I don't know what movie you guys are wanting, but like this is kind of the perfect setting for a Predator movie. Like the concept of it, I thought was brilliant. I really don't know what more you could have asked. The
concept of it was great, and I thought it was mostly executed great. It's just, again, we got to this point where it's like there's just movies above it that we love even more.
Yeah.
Because we're already in the top 4, which for me, a couple of these could constantly move all over the place, so I'm not sure where to do this. At number 4 is Predator: Killer of Killers,
which is my number 4.
Which is my number 3. Go ahead. Why don't you go first? This one.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those where did I have to sell you on this because it was animated? I can't remember.
No.
Okay. I thought it was like.
Well, here's the thing: I heard there's going to be an animated Predator movie in addition to the live action one coming out this year. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, but we didn't know anything about what it was about or anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm okay with animation. And then when we first saw the trailers for it, I'm like, I actually, because I was worried it's going to be more like anime, but this wasn't. It's kind of, I really liked the style of animation, so I was kind of psyched to see it. But I was like, I'm going to reserve judgment until I see it. But then once we did, like, holy shit! But yeah, I didn't need to be sold on it. No.
Okay, I couldn't remember if this was one of those I had to sell you on.
No.
But yeah, the concept of this is literally what we've been asking for, especially after Prey. It was like, well, what have we had the Predator in this time frame? This time, if they're going to do. Because that was always the thing with all the Predator movies before Prey, is everything was always present day. It was always present day stuff. It was never time travel or anything like that.
Well,
So
but two is in it was in the future, but not far future or anything.
which one?
Predator 2 at the
Um,
time.
yeah, it's like 1990 to 97. We're talking about like they didn't go back in time to like the 1800s and shit. Like everything that was Predator was very much like in that time frame. And so when Prey was like, oh yeah, they're going back to the was it 1800s, 1700s for Prey?
Yeah, 17. Well, it was after the revolution. Yeah, somewhere 1800s, I think. Yeah.
We were like, oh crap, if they're gonna do that, then yeah, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And then our imagination started to go wild, and then Killers basically like, okay, cool. It's like, let's do the Deadliest Warrior, which was one of my favorite shows on Spike TV when it came out. And let's do this group, like the Vikings against the Predator. Let's see how that fight turns out. And that was the first part of this movie. And then Brian always wanted to see was it samurai or ninja against Predator?
Well, ninja, well, either one, but to put them both together.
We get both. We get a Predator or we get a ninja and a samurai against Predator. And then we get the last part, which is like a aerial battle of World War II, which I think we both agree is the weakest part of it, but it's still good. It's just not as good as the first two parts. But visually, this movie looks amazing. Because of the animation, they can go gory with it, and it was really well done. We both love the samurai ninja story. It is the best one. And it's almost done almost completely silent. Which Brian and I have a soft spot for silent film if it's done really fucking well, and this one was. And then you add the whole fourth aspect concept where you realize, oh yeah, if you guys defeat the Predator, you guys don't get to go home. You guys get fucking kidnapped. And then you get to go fight more Predators. Congratulations. Which was an aspect that we never knew was a legit thing. And then you even find out later that that's what happened to Dutch. And that's what happened to
anybody who beats the Predator. They still go back and say, fuck you, we're still taking you. Yoink.
Yeah, it's like, okay, cool. Well, you're good. You survived the Predator. That means you're good enough to fight more Predators. Congratulations. It's like it opens up a whole new facet to the Predator lore. That's what happened. And it's just so awesomely well done. And it was a pleasant.
It almost makes me think that the Predators that we've seen in all these other movies are like the wimpy Predators. Because they send them basically out to die. They say, we're going to send you to this planet and find out who can kill you so we can take them.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, and it's no different than with in Badlands, where it was like, he deserves to go on his hunt to prove that he can be part of the clan. And these Predators, you find out, in theory, technically, all of them are like adolescents going out for their hunt to prove that they're a man, except that they're being apparently watched the entire time. And then whatever ends up killing them, they go, okay, well, we're going to take this, because if they're good enough to kill one of us, then we're going to put them to the real test and go against like the older ones, which once again changes the whole fucking facet of what the Predator lore is. But yeah, you talk now. I've been talking about the whole time about this.
No, you kind of covered everything I would cover about it. I was a little worried in the beginning that it was about animation style, but again, I was really put to rest on that one because I really love the animation style of this, and like Sean said, what they can do in the medium of animation, just in terms of not just gore, but in action and everything, and the kind of camera angles that they couldn't do if it was a live action film. And I thought it was really well done. Plus, I think they got away with more gore because it was animated as well. Things to be a little more graphic.
And we both were in agreement that we think the next Alien versus Predator should be animated and not live action. We get how fun it would look, but we think that they can do more.
Yeah, that'd be so fun to see an animated where they can just like go hog wild and just fucking rip things to shreds. But then again, as we saw in Predator Badlands, as long as things getting ripped to shreds aren't bleeding red blood and it's not human, they're okay with it. So
apparently,
they will. I don't know. But yeah, I love everything about this movie. I can't wait to see where it goes from here. But obviously they have plans to continue with the story, but also to introduce with Schwarzenegger and Glover's characters and all and Naru. So yeah, I love this movie. It's one of my most pleasant surprises of the year.
Yep. Or it could just be like every other Predator movie and leave it very open ended for something to happen, and then we never get a fucking sequel to it.
True that.
Yeah. And we literally are going into our top three, and I think without us actually saying it to one another what they were, we're like, our top three is going to be the same top three, right? Like, I think it's pretty much everyone's top three, isn't it? It's just, it's a matter of what order the top three is. But
they weren't for me because Killers is my number three. My number four was Alien, the original. Which is what number 2 for you?
Number 2 for me, yeah.
Number 2 for you. So I ended up 3 on the combined list. Alien is a really well made movie. I just feel like, I mean, there's no spoilers. The only film left is going to be Aliens. Going to be somewhere above it. I prefer Aliens to it. I think there's two very distinct camps of people. The people who like, the more, suspense horror of Alien versus those who really enjoyed the action approach to it of Aliens. And I just have to be in the Aliens court. So the first film, while I like very much, and I like everything they did and everything they established to create this whole world to start with, I just don't prefer that to the other one. So I made my number 4, your 2.
I mean, you say that there are people who are the aliens alien, and then the people who are the aliens. I am an aliens alien, but Alien is 2, which means Aliens is my number 1.
Lost track what you're saying. You said alien so many times, but okay, go ahead.
Well, you were saying that there are people who are either aliens fans.
I know, but you're like, I'm an aliens alien, but this alien with the aliens alien. What? Anyway, go on.
Who does number 2 work for? But because I agree, Aliens is the more exciting, fun movie for obvious reasons. Aliens is a sci-fi action adventure. Alien is a sci-fi horror. It's basically Jaws on a ship. And you know me with Jaws. I'm all aboard. And this is done beautifully, especially if you watch this at night in the fucking dark with any kind of surround sound system. This movie is magical. And to know, like, it's young version of me always thought there was multiple aliens in this. And then I was like, oh no, it's just one fucking alien. That's why it's called Alien and not Aliens. But there are so many just great moments in this movie, and very well acted from everyone in this. And it's the ship, I feel more so than any of the other movies, is its own character in this. The settings of everything and the camera work and everything about this movie is brilliantly well done, as well as the score. And I mean, yeah, there's gore, but I mean, it's 70s, so the gore is not as high end as other films. And I feel like Alien is peak cinema for what it's doing at that time. Which what led us even something that topped it with Aliens, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But yeah, Alien is fantastic.
So there are only 2 films left.
Yeah, the first, or not the first, but the shocker of what the top 3 were.
Yes.
For us.
At number 2 was my, I believe, number 2, and that is Predator.
And my number 2.
And your number 2.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, Alien was my 2. Predator was my 3. Yeah.
So yeah, Predator the original. This is a movie that should have been kind of shit. This is it was going to be just another Arnold Schwarzenegger, action vehicle. This is, he's coming off of doing like Commando and Raw Deal and some movies like that. And then this is going to be just another one. It just happens, to be they're going to have an alien in this one. So it was going to be kind of ridiculous. Plus the fact the alien was originally played by Jean-Claude Van Damme in this fucking. Now, I don't know what the final thing would have looked like, but what they had him wearing in the jungle, and if you ever can find it,
looks like shit.
Stuff, it looks like a fucking John Cleese in like a lobster costume.
Yeah,
chase it after. So this movie should have been a fucking pile of shit. Then they completely changed the alien. They went and enrolled Stan Winston, the legendary Stan Winston, to design and create this Predator, which it's got this iconic look, which is now still being used. 40 years on almost. Yeah. And it's one of the most memorable kind of, alien creatures in cinema, honestly. So once they did that, and then, it was directed by John McTiernan, who is one of my favorite directors in terms of, he's a diehard. He did this, he did Thomas Crown Affair. He's done, a bunch of great films. So the direction's well, It had that kind of 80s action movie kind of feel to it still, though, especially, you know, again, with this, you know, troop of buddies, soldiers, you know, and you have all the kind of different archetypes. You know, you got the spiritual, like, Indian one, and you got Dutch as the leader, and then you got the tough guy with Jesse Ventura, who's like, you know, I ain't got time to bleed.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Yeah. So, you know, you kind of have that whole aspect, and you have Shane Black, who basically did some of the writing of the script of it, you know, some punch ups on that, and he appears as, you know, another one of the soldiers. So everything about this movie kind of just got kind of elevated because of the pedigree of everybody behind it and what they did, and it turned out to be basically a sci-fi classic.
Yeah, what this movie does is it is nostalgia to the nth degree because this movie's so fucking good. And then you try to get people to watch it who have never watched it, and you're just like, and they're, you know, they try to put it up to shit like today. I'm like, no, you just need to understand how amazing this fucking movie is. This movie should not have worked. Nothing about this movie was screaming box office success. You know, you got Arnold, and then you have Carl Weathers. Like, you have Apollo Creed, and you got the fucking Terminator. That should sell you, but then you got everything else. You got, for me, WWE, you got Jesse the Body Ventura, which is not a good actor, but he's fucking amazing in this. But you've got this amazing creature in the Predator, which I always love. You mentioned you just came back from New York. You were at Planet Hollywood. And I remember when I went to Vegas when I was 21, and I went to a Planet Hollywood there, and they had a life-size Predator in the restaurant. And I could have just sat there for hours just looking at the detail of every inch of this you know, body of the Predator. Just everything about this thing looked cool as shit.
And to think it was all done practical too.
Yes.
Just costumes and
yes,
mechanics.
and the jungle setting was amazing. You know, the whole camouflage thing at the very beginning, where they just didn't know you didn't know what it was hunting. Then you finally get to see the Predator for the first time. You're like, what? You know, and the whole battle sequences, you know, with him and Arnold at the end, you know, with covered in the mud, kill me now, kind of thing like that. Then this movie is so endlessly quotable, like, Dylan, you son of a bitch, and the biggest fucking handshake in movie history, worlds explode, like, it's so great. Brutality is there. Everything about this works, and I think the only thing that really knocks it down from being like number one or number two, well, number two, because nothing was going to top Aliens, it's just that it's a little slow in the beginning.
Well, you know what? I kind of like that. It's like, this is one of those movies that I wish I didn't know that it was about an alien going into this movie, because it basically starts off as like this, you know, like I said, this 30 dozen kind of group of guys going off on some mission in these jungles, and it's just like becomes like this war film. But there's like something weird fucking following them, and like, wait, what the fuck is that? What did we just see in the trees? That was, you know, and then all of a sudden it's just like, boom, it's a fucking alien. Like, what the hell? And so I kind of like that aspect of it, but it does make, because of that approach to it, it does make it kind of a slow build up.
Well, the reason why I mentioned the slow build up is it's not that you have a slow build up. Every horror movie has that. I call it the first 40, whereas the first 40 minutes is like, we're establishing the characters before they all fucking die. And then from 40 minutes to the 50-minute mark, that's when you're like, okay, now we're going to start turning it over. And then 50 minutes on, it's fucking chaos. And this follows that same thing. But that slow build, though, really starts to kind of show the weakness in the cast, because a lot of them aren't great actors. So the first 40 is kind of where you're starting to go, okay, yeah, some of these lines aren't hitting as good as they should, because a lot of these aren't good actors. And so that's where it's like little, but like once you start to get the Predator really in it, and they're all like starting to get freaked out because they know something's out there and they can't fucking figure it out, that's when the movie starts to go into iconic territory. Like, there's iconic moments before that. It's just that there's those moments where it's like, yeah, that wasn't well acted. Even by 80 standards, that wasn't well acted, you know, but it's still this iconically great film. And it's what launched everything for the Predator. And it's still, to this day, like, yes, you're going to have Predator movies that have cooler shit and even better performances, but it's not going to be Predator. Predator is Predator for a fucking reason. And you can have Prey, and you can have Badlands or Predators and stuff like that, but without Predator, doesn't fucking matter. That's why Predator's probably always going to be that number one. Because we can love Predator as much as we want. And granted, it's the oldest one, so you can kind of go, oh, it's cool because it's been out long. But I've watched probably every Predator movie, except for obviously Badlands and Prey. Well, and Prey's getting up there. I've probably watched each one probably about 5 times. But Predator, I've lost count.
Yeah.
And well, yes, it's been out longer, but I can throw Predator on right now and just be happy. Whereas like almost all the other ones, I have to be in the right mood to watch it. I don't have to be in a mood to watch Predator. It's like Die Hard. I could throw Predator on at any point. It's fucking Predator.
Oh, and it's one of those ways you're flipping channels on a Sunday afternoon. If you come across it, like, I'm watching it.
Yeah, I'm done.
You know what? I own it over there. We could watch it in better quality and without commercials. Fuck you, I'll watch this.
Yeah. And plus, in typical 80s fashion, I love that this is like a hardcore horror. And then at the very end, we get the 80s montage, like, credits. So I still...
sitcom. Oh, I love that. That's such a Shane Black thing.
I so fucking love that, because it's just like, you had this super intense battle at the very end. And I also that's the one thing too that's like iconic level of it is even when Arnold takes off the Predator's mask. Ooh, one ugly son of a bitch. And then the Predator talks back to him. He's like, holy shit. And then the laughing as he's gonna explode. It's just like, you don't get that in the other movies. And it's just it stays with you compared to the other ones. And that's why it's iconic, and that's why it'll be the number one Predator movie always. There might be better ones that come and go, but it's never going to be Predator. It's
always going to be the best.
Just like with Aliens, there's never going to be Aliens again.
Yeah, and Aliens is obviously our combined number one because both of us had it at number one.
For a fucking good reason.
It's essentially a perfect sci-fi action horror movie, however you want to define it. It really is. I mean, James Cameron had really hit his stride. I mean, he did Terminator before this, but it was still, kind of had that low budget look to it, but you could tell he had style to it. But Aliens, where he came into his own and made it just this beautiful movie, both visually and in the filmmaking. Everything about it worked for me. I love the new environment, love the military kind of aspect, the group of soldiers. You got Bill Paxton in there. It's awesome. Michael Biehn you got in there. It's just a great cast across the board. Great dialogue between them as well.
Quotable, just like Predator.
The most quotable of the whole thing, especially with Bill Paxton's character, but everybody really. I can't say enough positive about this movie. You introduced the concept of the Queen, which that explains, this is the first time you kind of see, obviously multiple, when she walks in like the egg room, hive, whatever you want to fucking call it.
Yeah, she uses the grenade launcher. Yeah.
Yeah. And someone and you have the whole theme of like them versus like the corporate greed, because Paul Reiser's been sent because they want to capture one, bring it back to weaponize it. So you're already like kind of laying the foundations for what the rest of the Alien franchise is going to be about. So yeah, this is a perfect film.
Yeah, I mean,
and an Oscar nomination for Best Actress for Sigourney Weaver, and well deserved.
Yeah, the Colonial Marines, they were awesome in this because like with Alien, like. You had Sigourney and you had the rest of the cast, but none of the rest of the cast was really like badasses. They were just kind of like trying to just survive poorly until they were able to just outsmart the alien. These were guys who were like, you have, oh God, what's her name? Vasquez? Was that the woman's name? She's over here doing fucking one-arm pull-ups, like shit. She's got the biggest fucking gun. And you're like, oh, well, these motherfuckers, they ain't gonna die. It's like, no, they're fucked too. Paxton's, scared little bitch with the whole game over line. Michael Biehn, which you're like, well, dude, Michael Bean's gonna survive. He fucking killed the Terminator. No. Well, no, he did survive. He survived. He survived through the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But and then of course you do have the 80s trope with having a kid with Newt, but Newt wasn't even an annoying kid.
Anytime you saw him add a kid, you're like, oh fuck, this is gonna be shit. But it, like you said, it worked. They played it right. They didn't make her like a cutesy, comic relief little scrappy. She felt like a real little girl who had really been like basically
through it all.
What was it? Like 13 days or something.
Something like that.
just alone, no other humans, just trying to survive on her own. And then just the first people she sees, and I believed every second of her performance.
Yeah, and then like I said, you got more aliens in this, so you had more cannon fodder for that, and you had more cannon fodder for the actual aliens to kill. So it was more of a full-on battle. The set pieces were bigger. You were able to do more with this. Cameron's eye and Cameron's way of directing made it for a lot more action-packed and enjoyable. Paul Reiser was the perfect, just like sniffling douchebag. You just wanted to see him fucking die. Probably the second best face hugger. Like there's that scene in the not the hospital. What am I thinking about? They're in the
infirmary.
Yeah, and it's Newton and Scorny, and he like locks them in there with the face huggers, and they're having to fight. Like that whole scene is so fucking like well done, so well done. And then of course you have the iconic Queen fight, with the most popular line, and one of the most popular in movie history, and that whole fight, and everything
about it. We put her in the power loader, which
that's what I was going to say. You get
they call back to that in Badlands.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Like they even brought that back. Like, well, that's just a big ass version of Aliens at that point. There's reasons why that movie and Predator, for example, get spoofed or not even spoofed, but just get callbacked in other films because they were managing to do something that at the time felt impossible. And not only was it possible for them, but it worked to perfection to the point where it hasn't really worked as well since. And even with the Queen, once again, practical. Because CGI wasn't much of a thing back then, which was, 86? I think it was Aliens. Yeah. Which was a year before Predator even came out. So it was, you had both these movies in back-to-back years, which is amazing to have that. It's one of the best, not just best sci-fi sequels, but one of the best sequels of all time because it took a movie that was already fantastic, and you hear here comes a sequel, and more times nowadays you're like, oh god, how are they gonna fuck this up? And no, it's not gonna just be a fuck up. It's going to be iconic and better than what came before it, which a lot of people thought was already one of the best films of all time or in its category, and it built upon it, which thus started the franchise, which that even says a lot for you, for me, because like I said during this thing, I am pro Predator over Alien. But yet in this ranking, my top 2 movies are Alien. And then it's the Predator movies. So that says infinitely amount about how well an Alien movie can be when it's done correctly. And I mean, like I said, I knew Aliens, and Predator were going to be in the top 3, even though you have it at 4 at one point because you're just so high on killers. But I mean, it was like one of those things where it's like, well, I know where our top 3 is going to be. It's just whether where placing it is. But I also knew that Aliens was always going to be number 1. Yeah, and it deserves to be. Absolutely. And that was one of my biggest problems with Romulus. Was that it just kept trying to retread shit from past films and not try to be its own. Mm-hmm. And that was probably one of the biggest groaner things outside of the baby alien was when when he quotes that? Yeah. When he quotes "Get away from her, you bitch." And I'm like, that's technically before Aliens. So that shit, oh my god, that's the shit that makes my skin crawl. Because it's like, first off, it's not even if it was after Aliens, it's not like that's like something that you heard. Oh yeah, I heard Ripley said this to the Queen. No, but to even do that before the fucking dude, that shit's that's a big no. That's a big fucking no. But yeah, Aliens. Let's put it this way: do you think if Aliens wasn't as good as it was, do you think that the franchise still would have gone strong? Do you think we still would have gotten where we're at today?
Aliens, the second film, was not that strong. I don't think you would have ever seen a third film.
Even then, it still took 7 years to get a third film.
6 years, yeah.
Was it 92?
86 to 92, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was 93. But yeah, I wonder that sometimes. It was like, especially with big franchises, like obviously Predator, got a sequel, but Predator 2 wasn't great, which is why it took so long before we got another Predator movie. But it's like, if Aliens was not as good, would we have gotten where we're at today.
No, because because Aliens was successful in its time, and they already didn't follow it up. But then by the time it got into a few years later, that on VHS and everything, it had become an even bigger hit. So for people that didn't see it in theaters, that discovered it later, that they decided to make an Alien 3. But if Aliens had not been good and had not been successful, yeah, you never would have seen any more Alien movies. So.
And now we are in a world where Aliens and Predators are back to being strong, and we're seeing more and more coming out. I mean, like I said, we got Alien Earth, we got Predator just in general now. With I can't really say Badlands because
I'm excited to see where both of these things go in the future, both on their own and to lead to an eventual connection of Alien and Predator together again, but maybe in a good movie this time.
Yes. So. The possibilities are endless now with Dan Trachtenberg and Noah Hawley and Fede Alvarez are the two now kind of in charge of Alien for the time being. The possibilities are endless, and we are excited to be back on this ride. We hope you guys enjoyed this ride through the Alien Predator universe with us. If you guys did, hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the Movie Crusaders. Of course, you can follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. But let us know in the comments below, what are your favorite films of this franchise? Is it the same as ours? Is it some of the ones we had lower on the list? Let us know. Like I said, if Prometheus ends up being one of your favorite films, I mean, good on you. It isn't for us. But let us know what your favorite ones were of these franchises. Did you guys check out Badlands or Alien Earth? What were your thoughts on those, since those are the newest ones this year? Or Killer of Killers? There's not enough people who have watched Killer of Killers, and that's a problem. Because it's an animated and it's on Hulu, there's a lot of people who have not checked it out. You guys really need to check it out. But let us know in the comments below. Also out right now is our joint review for The Running Man, which came out this week. So check that out if you guys are interested. And then coming up next, we have Wicked for Good, one of my more anticipated films of 2025. Whether or not I'll be doing a review with Brian will be all up to Brian. But we got plenty of movies coming out here that are coming out to end the year. Of course, we are ending the year, which means that we'll begin to our end of year, best of, worst of, surprising, disappointing. I have already passed my movies watched for this year already compared to last year. I've watched more movies this year in 2025 than I have in the last 5 years. Because I think last year, I got to 104. Last year, and I'm already like at 108 right now. We still have a month and a half left. So I definitely my list is long. But yes, we got plenty of stuff coming, so we hope you guys check it out. But we are the Movie Crusaders. I'm Sean Wasku. That is Brian Michaels. Until next time, takes we don't see you. Go watch the movies. Go have some fun.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.